couple of questions, though. How quickly does Holmgren develop? Holmgren looked good, and 13 pounds heavier, at Summer League, but there will be a learning curve. And I wonder how he'll hold up physically at center, where he will likely play heavy minutes. And will there be such a thing as too much depth? The Thunder had 10 players who averaged at least 18 minutes per game last season. Throw in Holmgren and Cason Wallace, whose defense could earn him minutes, and that could be a lot of juggling for coach Mark Daigneault. The Thunder are heading in the right direction. It just might take them another season or two to get there. Walk a few feet inside the Thomas and Mack Center earlier this month, and you would find an exec who thinks the Lakers had a great offseason. Walk a few more, and you'd find one who thinks the media is giving them way too much credit. Here's the thing. I think the moves the Lakers made could have an energizing effect on LeBron James and Anthony Davis next season. Think about the vibe in LA at the start of last season. There was a new, inexperienced coach. There was largely the same stale roster that sputtered to the finish line the season before. There was a player, Russell Westbrook, whose style of play just didn't fit. There was just bad energy, and it showed in LA's sluggish start. This year should begin with good energy. The Lakers re-signed the players they wanted, Rui Hachimura, Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell, to team-friendly deals. They will have continuity, something GM Rob Pelinka emphasized at the end of the season, with a group that proved in the second half of last season that it could succeed. My opinion, I think Gabe Vincent and Taurean Prince are an upgrade over Dennis Schroeder and Lonnie Walker IV. But I think simply having a roster James and Davis believe they can win with right away is just as valuable. Call it an educated guess, but the Blazers might believe the Heat need Lillard more than Portland needs to move him. At least right away. It will be an uncomfortable training camp if Lillard is on the roster, for sure. But Miami lost its starting backcourt in free agency. Harrow will return, but he can't be thrilled to be coming back after spending the entire offseason hearing about where the Heat might move him. Jimmy Butler will be 34 when camp opens. There has to be urgency to get a deal done while Butler is still Butler. My opinion continues to be that a deal between the Heat and Blazers gets done, in part because Lillard wants to go to Miami, in part because the Heat, as far as I can tell, are the only team seriously pursuing him. But this could stretch into August, or beyond. We're definitely reaching an eyebrow-raising moment with the Brown contract talks. Brown, as most know, is eligible for the Supermax extension, which could be worth as much as $304 million over 5 seasons. The Celtics have been engaged with Brown's reps for a few weeks now, and there are no indications, yet, that there are any hurdles that can't be overcome. It's worth noting that it isn't as simple as Boston sliding Brown a $304 million contract. There's plenty of room to negotiate, player options, incentives, that takes time, longer, perhaps, because of the new collective bargaining agreement. Ultimately, I think a deal gets done. Brown wants the money, and the Celtics have no reason not to give it to him. Brown is a 26-year-old All-Star coming off his first All-NBA season. He's exactly the kind of player you reward with a big contract. I don't think Boston is nickel-and-diming anything, either. I think they are doing whatever they can to avoid the second luxury tax apron, which every team but Phoenix has been doing. That said, this team, as currently constructed, just isn't as good as the team that finished last season. They sacrificed defense and versatility in Smart and Grant Williams for the offensive upside of Porzingis, who was terrific last season for the going-nowhere Wizards while effectively playing for a new contract. And while Stevens has expressed confidence that Malcolm Brogdon's forearm injury won't keep him out of training camp, the oft-injured Brogdon is not the luxury he was a year ago. With Smart gone, a healthy Brogdon becomes a necessity. Simple. Direct. I like it. And the answer is, maybe? There's no denying Phoenix's top-end talent. Kevin Durant is still a premier scorer. Devin Booker, too. And whatever you think of Bradley Beal's contract, getting him for Chris Paul, some second-round draft capital and pick swaps is a win. Plus, I ran into plenty of people at Summer League who believe Frank Vogel is the right coach to keep DeAndre Ayton happy. At least for one season. Here's the operative word in Phoenix: sacrifice. Who is going to do it? Boston's successful 2008 title run was fueled, in part, by Kevin Garnett's willingness to sacrifice. In Miami, Chris Bosh made significant sacrifices to make the Heat work. Who will do it in Phoenix? Who will be the 20-plus point per game scorer that says he's okay with scoring 16? I'm far more interested in that question than who is going to start at point guard. A play-in spot seems reasonable. There's a lot of excitement around the Thunder, and understandably so. They have an MVP candidate, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, quality wings, Josh Giddey, Lou Dort, and a slew of high-end young talent. Throw a returning, and beefed-up, Chet Holmgren into the mix, and there will be some outlandish predictions for where Oklahoma City finishes next season. LeBron James playfully indicated Monday he'd accept paychecks from the controversial Arab regime. But that possibility is no joke to the NBA. And Monday night, after news of Saudi Arabian club Al Hilal offering French soccer star Kylian Mbappé an astonishing $776 million to play in the kingdom next season, LeBron James took to Twitter with a message for his 52.6 million followers. Me headed to Saudi when they call at Rich Paul 4 and at Mav Carter for that one-year deal. James tweeted, with a gif of Forrest Gump sprinting down a street underneath it. Some 30 minutes later, Draymond Green fired off a message of his own. They got basketball leagues too, right? I don't think the ink on my contract has dried up yet, Green tweeted. Indeed, Saudi Arabia does have a league, the Saudi Basketball League, a 12-member organization that was founded in 1976. Basketball is a growing sport in Saudi Arabia. As recently as 2018, the Saudi men's team won the Arab National Championship. In recent years, Saudi Arabia, backed by its public investment fund, PIF, that's reportedly valued at $650 billion, has dived headfirst into sports. In golf, where the Saudi-backed LIV Tour recently announced a merger with the PGA. In soccer, where Cristiano Ronaldo inked a deal that could pay him as much as $200 million per year, to play in the kingdom. In boxing, where the Saudis have hosted everything from high-level heavyweight title fights, Anthony Joshua, Alexander Usyk, to high-profile events, Jake Paul, Tommy Fury. In Formula One. In horse racing. In professional wrestling. An aggressive Saudi Arabia is an NBA nightmare. What's to stop Saudi sports officials from making a $500 million per year offer to Giannis Antetokounmpo? Or a $600 million per year deal to Nikola Jokic? Or a $766 million, a number we choose for symmetry's sake, to LeBron? The Saudis are not bothered by short-term losses. The billions pumped into LIV was proof of that. And the NBA, thanks to the efforts of David Stern and Adam Silver, has become a global game. There probably isn't a sport more attractive to the Saudis than basketball. The above two plays show Stevenson's direct two-way value. After altering a shot into a miss on the first clip, he grabs the rebound and pushes the break himself. He hits a cutting teammate with a nice bounce pass, but his teammate misses the layup. Stevenson didn't give up on the play after the pass, he kept his pursuit towards the rim, grabbed the offensive rebound, and cleaned up the miss with a putback. The second clip shows yet another block on the interior, which Stevenson then rebounds and dribbles up the floor through traffic. He's not bothered by the tight defense around half-court, and he exhibits fantastic body control as he Euro steps around the final defender in the lane to finish the coast-to-coast trip with a bucket. Stevenson's mobility is a commodity at his size, and the versatility he shows on both ends is valued highly in Oates' system that isn't just reliant on a high-powered offense, but also a long, stout defense. As seen in the layup at the end of his second transition clip, Stevenson has great touch as a finisher around the basket. The following plays demonstrate that even more. On a simple baseline out-of-bounds play in the first clip, Stevenson works around a screen and catches the pass around the dunker spot. he immediately rises up for a quick post hook that drops in with ease. The second clip shows Stevenson working the middle of the floor on a press break, catching the ball around mid-court and attacking the rim with force. He gets his defender on his left hip, then plants his foot and executes an effective spin move, finishing with his left hand. Stevenson has the touch to be able to finish around the rim from a variety of angles and with both hands. His arsenal extends beyond the paint as well, boasting a very capable three-point shot. He's not necessarily a sharp shooter, but again drawing comparisons to Clowney, has a respectable enough shot where defenders can't leave him wide open, helping space the floor and open the lane for driving. As far as the role Stevenson will play this upcoming season, there are lots of question marks about how the front court rotation will shake out. Nick Pringle is the only returning player in the group, and he's not even guaranteed a starting role after playing a very limited role last year. Stevenson has the length, the rebounding, and the two-way versatility to both compete for and win a starting job for Oates and the Crimson Tide this year. Can he follow in the footsteps of Lewis and Primo and become the next reclassified player from Alabama to make the NBA? He certainly has the potential. Stevenson looks to be an instant impact addition after reclassifying from the 2024 recruiting class. This is the sixth in a multi-part series where Bama Central's Blake Byler will crunch the numbers and break down the film to give you everything you need to know about each of Alabama basketball's newcomers. Kira Lewis Jr., Josh Primo, now Jaren Stevenson. What do these three players have in common? They all reclassified when they committed to Alabama, skipping their senior years of high school. For the first two, it worked out quite well. A native of Pittsboro, North Carolina, Stevenson grew up in the shadows of the Dean E. Smith Center and was a Tar Heel legacy, but he ultimately chose to come play for Nate Oates in the Crimson Tide instead of the Blue Blood a few miles down the road. As a junior at Seaforth High School, Stevenson was outstanding, averaging 21.5 points and 11.6 rebounds per game, while adding 3.7 blocks per game on the defensive end. His efforts made him nationally recognizable, and he was named the Gatorade North Carolina Player of the Year at season's end. Stevenson was originally a member of the class of 2024, and an Elite One, at that. He was a consensus 5-star and was ranked in the top 20 by virtually all recruiting services. After reclassifying to 2023 to join Alabama for this upcoming season, Stevenson now ranks as a high 4-star on the majority of services. The most glaring attribute Stevenson brings to Alabama is his size and length. He is one of three additions to the frontcourt that was left incredibly thin after multiple departures to the NBA, and at 6'10", he is listed as the second tallest player on the roster. Stevenson's frame and measurements bear a striking resemblance to Noah Clowney, a fellow 6'10" forward who was a one-and-done for the Crimson Tide last season. Stevenson boasts a very similar body type, with a long wingspan denoted by lanky arms that cover plenty of ground when outstretched. He needs to add a little weight, currently being listed at just 200 pounds, but the area Stevenson can make the most immediate impact is on the defensive end. There is a chance to earn playing time promptly with center Charles Bediako off to the NBA along with Clowney, along with the defensive level of the current frontcourt being an uncertainty. Stevenson's potential as an interior defender is seen clearly in the two above clips. In the first, Stevenson's teammate carelessly turns the ball over, leaving Stevenson as the furthest defender back in a 2-on-1 fast break. Stevenson sprints back to the lane and stops the ball, forcing a pass, where he then showcases his ability to stay vertical and block the shot. His mechanics are disciplined, he doesn't recklessly swat at the ball or the player, which would pick up an easy foul. He jumps vertically, using his reach to erase the shot and grab the rebound. In the second clip, Stevenson is already in great position thanks to the zone his team is playing, but again, he shows his timing and anticipation as a shot blocker by staying vertical and not overusing his body as a means of defending. Stevenson has the length to not only clog passing lanes, but also bother a wide variety of shots around the rim, and his excellent body control is translatable to the college game. While he may not guard many fives in the SEC due to his weight, he has the versatility and mobility to guard bigger wings on the perimeter while also serving as a help-side shot-blocking threat. Stevenson also has a fair amount of offensive skill to his game, and while he can't handle the ball at the level of a guard, or even a forward like Nelson, he is more than comfortable bringing the ball up the floor and pushing the break off his own rebound. The entire Westwood community all watched proudly during the 2023 NBA draft as Jaylen Clark was selected in the second round by the Minnesota Timberwolves. He had a heartbreaking end to his career with the UCLA Bruins as he suffered a torn Achilles right before their most important stretch of the season, but as he and many other people around him have emphasized, he took plenty of joy in the journey to get there versus just dwelling on the finish. And Clark proved that he is someone willing to do whatever it takes to win. He spent 3 years with the Bruins and played alongside a number of elite ball handlers and scorers but stuck to his own game, which was shutting down the best players on the opposing side and getting buckets through his own dirty work. Clark is still in the process of recovering from his lower leg injury, and even though he couldn't suit up for the Timberwolves just yet during the 2K24 Summer League, he still decided to put together a youth camp in the city of Riverside to ensure that he is still looking out for the basketball community during this time. The incoming rookie spoke to the press enterprise about what motivated him to put it together. Clark is staying busy while he tries to get his body back up to par to help out a hungry Timberwolves team. It's safe to say he will also always have the support of Westwood.